Hello and welcome. You're listening to the QBQ podcast. Whether you're wondering how to get your business to the next level, increase sales and productivity, or how to raise great kids, you're in the right place. In every episode, we highlight how personal accountability is the foundation to success in all areas of life. Personal accountability. It's just as simple as that. Let's dive in now. Welcome back to the QBQ podcast. This week I have with me yet again the infamous John G. Miller, my dad.
That's me.
Author, creator of QBQ. We want to talk about QBQ and management. So, Dad, what does it look like for people in management to practice QBQ, personal accountability? What does that look like?
Well, daughter Kristin, ever since I hired you in 2008, you've had the most perfect manager ever.
Absolutely.
There's a number of stats out there or studies that have shown that people do not leave organizations, they leave managers. That is such a consistent result in polls. When you ask people, why did you leave a company? Oh, sure, sometimes it's relocating or pay, or my life has changed in some way at home and I needed a different kind of job or different work. But more often than not, it's my manager was a jerk. My manager didn't know what he was doing. And that's really the case with a lot of managers. Now, I'm not saying managers are jerks. I'm saying that one of the biggest problems we have in most corporations today is managers were not trained. How did a technical person become a manager of technical people? Well, that person was the most proficient when it came to technology. So suddenly they're managing 8 other people in the technical world.
Right.
And managers get promoted and don't get any training. My dad, the Cornell wrestling coach, always said his more mediocre wrestlers became the better coaches. And we put that analogy in that book because more often than not, you don't want to promote the best salesperson or the best technical person or the best contributor because often they do not make the best managers. It's okay to promote people who weren't the superstar to be managing others, but that's a whole nother topic.
Sure.
Since QBQ is all about accountability, we should speak to organizations. Start training your managers. Move them from being individual contributors to being managers of other people. And it's a whole separate skill set. Learning to people manage. It's great to lead people, but there are skills of people management that leaders need. Okay, but the second point is the individual. If you're a person who's been elevated to management and you haven't been offered any people management training, go get some.
Yes.
Go outside. Yes, go outside the organization and figure out where you can learn how to manage people. So when it comes to accountability, train yourself, managers and corporations. Start investing in people management training. Get training for managers right away. The other thing that comes to my mind is my own personal history. Your mom and I moved out to the Midwest and I was with a really great company, but my managers really didn't have any training. And looking back on it, I didn't know that at the time. I was 22, 23, 24 years old. I didn't know these managers who were very nice people had no training. But then when I landed the business of selling training, I had a boss named Jim Strutton, who actually modeled, practiced what we were selling. We were selling people management training content, and Jim was actually using it. And you just can't understand how mind-blowing that was for your dad. I actually found a manager who did all the right things as a people manager. It was great fun and very exciting for me when I had a manager who actually followed through. I've got to tell this story.
Okay.
I will never forget in my training, early training, my manager would have me on some training programs, things I had to do, tasks each day. He was in Atlanta. I was in Minnesota. And Jim said to me one day, he says, okay, you need to memorize part of your sales presentation. I will call you Thursday, the 25th at noon, your time, and I want you to recite your presentation over the phone to me from memory. And he trusted that I wouldn't be reading it. And I probably was thinking, yeah, right, sure, Jim, you're going to call me Thursday at noon on the 25th. Right. Because you see, I had other bosses who said, we need to do this or we need to do that. And then it never happened.
Never did.
So that Thursday, the 25th at noon, I'm sitting at my desk staring at my phone, and at 12 noon, it rang, and it was Jim Strutton saying in his deep Southern voice, "Okay, John, share with me your presentation." And I just remember thinking, wow, is this what people management is all about? Being a high integrity individual who does what he says he's going to do. That's a piece of management that made a big difference to me, following through and doing what you say you're going to do. And Jim was modeling everything we were selling at that company. And that was very exciting for me.
That's a very practical example that managers could take and implement immediately. Do what you say you're going to do.
Absolutely. And the key was, Kristin, he'd been trained to do that. He wasn't winging the job of management. It's kind of like we say in our parenting book, Raising Accountable Kids. Stop winging it. Parenting is a learned skill. You can acquire new skills to parent. You can learn to be a better parent. Well, same with being a people manager. If we're not careful, we're going to make some classic mistakes in management. Be always asking, what can I do to develop my own skills as a manager? Because if I don't start asking those questions, I'm going to fall into some very basic traps. And the most common trap of management, I think, is I'm going to motivate my people.
Yes.
It's my job to make them want to work here.
Yes.
I'm going to make them be excited. Well, it can't be done because I can't change anybody. I can't make anybody want a certain thing. I can't put a goal inside someone else's head.
Right.
I've seen it. All the years I sold management training, I listened to managers say, I'm going to motivate that guy till it kills him. And you just can't do it. All we can do is create an environment around people that brings out their natural motivation. Yeah. And that comes from me, the people manager, learning new skills on how to manage people. That's the accountability piece. That's the QBQ piece.
For those people who might be interested, what was the book that your training system was based on that you sold?
Sure. It was written by W. Stephen Brown, 13 Fatal Errors Managers Make and How to Avoid Them. It was written like in 1985, just before I joined the company. And it was some of the most practical management content ever. And Steve always talked about it was good to look at the mistakes managers make. Yes, there's two ways to learn. You follow people who do the right things, but you also look at people who do the wrong things.
Yes.
And Steve talked a lot about the 13 things that managers could easily and quickly do wrong. And one of them is attempting to motivate people instead of just saying, what can I do to create an environment that brings out people's natural motivation? I remember a moment at my big company when I came out of Cornell. It'll stick with me forever in terms of management mistakes. I had done something in the office. This was 1985, just before I left that corporation, that I thought was the right thing to do. And I won't get into details because it just doesn't matter. But when my supervisor found out that I had done this thing and he didn't approve, I'm not kidding, he literally yelled at me in an open office with 20 other people. I was embarrassed to the core. The whole office went silent, and within 2 months, I left the company.
You were gone, yeah.
I was gone. We don't leave companies, we leave people. Got to make sure you're getting the training you need to become a better manager. And you got to make sure you're treating people with respect. And if you were to ask me, what's a real big, important message for managers today? It's okay to be the boss. Someone needs to take charge. It's okay to say, I am the boss. And sometimes, just like in parenting, you have to tell a person what to do next. You can't always facilitate self-discovery from them. You must sometimes take charge and be the boss. Much of this is covered in Outstanding, but when it comes to QBQ and accountability, we need to look in the mirror as managers and remember, it's my job to learn new skills. It's my job to create the right environment around people. It's my job to treat people with respect. And also, if I have someone who's not cutting it, for years I've asked groups, how many of you have a person on your team who's not making it right now? And everybody raises their hand.
Of course, yeah.
Must look in the mirror and say, have I done everything I can to help this person succeed? And if the honest answer is yes, I've done everything I can to help this person succeed, then it might be time to cut them loose. And don't worry, I know you need to have it in triplicate with HR and all those things. But if I've done all I can and this person is still not succeeding on the team, you're doing a disservice to the person and a disservice to the team by hanging on to that person who's not performing. And another concept I want to mention today, because I actually thought about this podcast a little bit.
Thank you.
As we say in QBQ, and maybe mention it in flipping the switch, humility is the cornerstone of leadership. What can I do to be a better manager today? How can I show my team that I care? What can I do to support them in all they do? Humility draws people toward us, and arrogance repels them. So the minute a manager becomes arrogant in any way, it's going to push people away from them, not draw them to him or her. So humility is still the cornerstone of leadership and good people management. And I can get there by being accountable to my people and to myself by continuing to learn, grow, and change as a person who manages other people. Accountability, when it comes to people management, means looking in the mirror and saying, what can I do to improve myself? Not blaming the team or asking, why isn't the team motivated? When is the team going to catch the vision? Why don't they do their jobs right? What can I do to support them better?
Absolutely. And that's the QBQ right there. That example you just gave is the juxtaposition between what we call the IQs, the incorrect questions that lead us to victim thinking, procrastination, blame, versus the QBQ that leads us to looking at ourselves, to ownership, to growth, to personal accountability.
That's right. You summed it up well. I know this has been a little loud and a little chaotic, but you get me excited when you say, hey, Dad, come on the podcast and talk about people management, because the key is I do remember having unskilled people managers in my life. And I bet everybody listening to this program can say, yep, I've had some lousy bosses in my life. So when I found a person who was a great people manager, in this case, my boss, Jim Strutton, it was so exciting. I can honestly tell you, Kristin, your dad left the big company with probably a self-image that could be slid under a door.
That is hard to imagine.
Right. Thank you. But then Jim, and then along with his boss, Steve Brown, the author of the book we mentioned, I've always said this, they rebuilt me.
They did. Yeah.
They did all the right things to help me become the best salesperson, the best person I could be. So people management is very important, and it means a lot to me.
QBQ wouldn't be here without those men.
No, absolutely. Without Jim and Steve, we wouldn't be talking right now, because that experience of selling management training for a decade is where I discovered the QBQ. I created the QBQ, but it was really because in those sessions, I'd see people managers say, why doesn't my team do what I asked them to do? And when are they going to get motivated? And why don't they get to work on time? And, all these incorrect questions. And one day I said, well, what if we asked, what can I do to become a better people manager? How can I look in the mirror and improve myself? And that does not mean we don't confront our people and terminate. It just means the first gut reaction is to say, I need to learn new skills as a people manager.
Yeah, very good. Well, that is a good overview of QBQ and management and how managers can practice personal accountability, specifically in the growth of management skills and improving in that area. So some of the resources you mentioned were W. Steve Brown's book, 13 Fatal Errors, which I assume is still accessible.
Well, I think it's still out there. Steve talked about a refusal by managers to accept personal accountability. But it was just one of his ideas out of many. And then we at QBQ, we took that one idea, personal accountability, and we built on it and created our business around it, because I personally felt that for everything else we get done in life, being the best parent, being the best salesperson, being the best manager, the foundation that we needed to stand on was personal accountability.
Yes.
So if you read Steve's book, you'll see the first mistake he talks about is no accountability, but then we took that and just built the whole business around accountability.
Yep, expanded on that completely.
We did.
Yes, and then the second resource you mentioned was our outstanding book, 47 Ways to Make Your Organization.
I just happen to have a copy right next to it.
That's so crazy. So that's a really fabulous resource too. So thanks for this little burp today. And we'll have you back on for any of the other various topics that we have brainstormed together.
Okay, thank you.
So, thanks. Bye.
Bye.